All right, so in this problem, we're trying to draw a piecewise function where we basically have two types of functions. We have this first line, which is defined for x values that are less than -1, and then we have this part, which is defined for x values that are greater than or equal to -1. Now, the easiest way to do this is to go ahead and make tables for each part. So I'll make a table for this x plus 3 part, and then I'll make another table for this -3x plus 1 part. Now, this is not typically very hard where you plug x's in and get some values, but the key thing is what values do you plug in? So that is defined by this part here. So for -x plus 3, I'm going to plug in only x values that are less than -1. And for this right portion, I'm going to only pick values that are greater than or equal to -1. Now, there is one exception to this, and I'll mention that here in a second. So if we look at this first part, it says I want to pick x's less than -1. So what are some x's less than -1? -2, -3, -4, -5. But I also want to include -1. Now, here's why. Because if I pick a point that's really, really close to -1, -1.000001, then that problem would be okay. That would be an okay point to use. So I'm really going to try to go all the points up to -1, and the way we do that is we use -1, but I'm going to write the word open next to it, because when I graph it, I want to make sure I graph it with an open circle. So now for these points, I'm just going to plug them into -x plus 3, so I'm just going to plug all those x values in. So for example, I do -1 plus 3. That's just plugging -1 into the function. So that'll be 1 plus 3, that's 4. And then I'll just do that for all these points. So that'll be 5, and that'll be 6. So now if I go over to my graph, I got -1, +4, which I'm going to graph with an open circle. And again, for that rationale I said before. -2, 5, which would be here, and then -3, 6. Really, any point works that is less than -1 in this case. So there is that portion. And so now I'm going to do the same thing for the other line. And again, it does not matter. These don't have to match up. If they do match up, they're continuous, but they don't have to be. So I'm going to pick points that are greater than or equal to -1. So in this case, I can definitely pick -1 because -1 is included. And -2, not -2, that would be bad. But 0 and 1, those are all bigger than -1. And again, you can use bigger ones, whatever you want. And so now I'll plug those in. So like the first one is -3 times -1 plus 1. So that becomes 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. And then we get 1. And then we get -2. So in this case, when I do the second portion, when I graph these 3 points for my new line, so -1, 4 happens to match up with that open circle. That does not have to happen. 0, 1 is here. And then 1, -2 is here. So it kind of looks something like that. So there is your graph. So if we look at this, this is continuous because the two pieces match up. They don't have to be. If I would have had a graph that looked like this here, and then it started here and went like this, that would have not been continuous. But for this one, it works out real nice. The key thing is just to make the 2 tables, or 3 tables if there are 3 pieces, pick the correct x values, and then get your corresponding y values.